There's a new report out there about Sony and Marvel and their Spider-Man deal. We're going to talk about what this means for the future of the Spider-Man character for Tom Holland, but it also has a lot to do with what's going to be going on in Avengers Kang Dynasty and Avengers Secret Wars. I love talking Secret Wars. More on that in a second. Okay, so this report came out a couple of days ago. I was actually waiting around to see if more updates trickled out from then, but nothing as of now. It's coming from Grace Randolph, and she says it seems Disney and Sony close to a new Spider-Man deal. They sign, then can work on Tom Holland's deal, Spider-Man 4, and likely both Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. So let's first talk about what the heck this means with the new deal between Disney and Sony. So as you probably know if you're watching this kind of a video, the Spider-Man license was sold from Marvel to Sony a long time ago. That's why Sony handled all of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies and the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movie. Amy Pascal and Kevin Feige figured out a crazy deal to allow Marvel Studios to use a Spider-Man, Tom Holland, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And what seemed like a perfect partnership between the two studios came to an abrupt end in 2019 when Sony decided they no longer needed Kevin Feige or the MCU. Then all the fans reminded them, no, you definitely do. So the two companies came together again to create Spider-Man No Way Home. And for this film, Disney put more money into it, but also received more of the total gross. This was obviously a massive success for both studios, and it seemed like a no-brainer that they would work together again. But since then, we haven't actually heard anything concrete on what was going on. We've heard a lot of different rumors about how Tom Holland was going to be getting a massive deal and coming back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and we heard a lot of different rumors about Andrew Garfield and a few rumors about Tobey Maguire as well. It really does seem like Andrew and Tobey totally still up for coming back, but it has to be the right project, and it seems like Tom Holland is willing to come back, but was likely holding out to get what he feels he deserves, and in my opinion, he absolutely does deserve Robert Downey Jr. levels of money. He's incredible as Spider-Man, super iconic, and they've done a lot to develop the character throughout his trilogy so far in the MCU. But on top of that, Marvel is currently in a spot where iconic and popular comic book characters are desperately needed to sort of bolster up some of the newer characters that are less popular. It's kind of crazy, but the way things are currently, I feel like the MCU needs Tom Holland's Spider-Man desperately to assure that the next few phases leading up to these next two Avengers movies will be massively successful and popular with fans. Now, just recently, we talked a lot about the MCU plan for Spider-Man 4 and how they are setting up a lot of ground level stories in separate Disney Plus shows that will eventually pay off in the Spider-Man 4 movie. And I absolutely still believe those reports. I believe this is Marvel setting up for that, and this all has to do with Daredevil. It has to do with Wilson Fisk becoming the mayor of New York City, and I assume that Spider-Man 4 will be a very grounded story where Tom Holland is leading a group of heroes, ground level New York City-based heroes, to overthrow Wilson Fisk as the mayor. But this new report from Grace makes it seem as though, despite making those plans, the T's are not crossed and the I's are not dotted and the contracts are not signed. But it seems like they're really close, which is a brilliant move, and it's not uncommon for studios to make plans before contracts are officially signed. They went into production on Spider-Man No Way Home not knowing for sure if they were actually going to get Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Similarly, Marvel Studios was using a Spider-Man double on the set of Civil War before they actually finalized that deal with Sony to have the character in the movie. Marvel's a big crazy machine. There's a lot of moving parts, but they will often push forward on ideas and concepts before they know for sure how things are going to shake out on the contract end. You also add into that Sony without Marvel has really floundered quite a bit. I mean, I think even Venom 2 disappointed Sony for what the box office was, but Morbius absolutely disappointed, bombing in the box office not once but twice, and I'm sure Sony realizes that a lot of the buzz for their solo Spider-Man universe, Sony universe of Marvel characters, whatever the hell they're calling it, the buzz on all of those projects is like really low, man. Not a lot of people hyped up for Kraven. People really don't trust Sony without the care or guidance of Kevin Feige. And perhaps that's what this deal is about. We've heard a ton of rumors with regards to that. The fact that Sony wants Feige to come help on different projects, and maybe Feige would be willing to do so as long as he's getting what he wants, which is probably and mainly access to Tom Holland's Spider-Man for the rest of freaking time. And so maybe that's what the deal will end up looking like, Feige helping Sony out with more of their films, because we also have heard that Spider-Geddon is a big end point for Sony. That's what they want to set up. You know, maybe they're even setting it up with Across the Spider-Verse, but they essentially want to do their own version of Secret Wars with a bunch of spider people. And unless they want that to be a big goobly glob mess of a movie, they probably should get help from Kevin Feige. But now let's talk about what else is hidden within this report that has to do with Avengers Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. You see, the fact that Tom Holland's Spider-Man is likely to be in Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars is actually extremely telling. Because I'm betting there will be many characters that show up in Secret Wars that are not in Kang Dynasty. And I am reminded of the Jonathan Hickman Secret Wars, in which a group of heroes survives the collapsing of the multiverse and ends up on Battleworld. And these are some of the only people on Battleworld that remember their old lives, the prior universe, and they're somewhat of the central characters of the Secret Wars story as they are trying to figure out what is going on and stop Doom and maybe save the multiverse. That is one of the driving forces of that narrative, and it allows the fans to be able to identify with certain characters that seemingly still have survived and remember all of the events that even us fans read for the past 3 years leading into Secret Wars. What I'm basically saying is that this makes me think that there will be a group of Avengers that coming out of Kang Dynasty, whether by some portal or using some kind of technology like a ship created by Reed Richards, they will arrive on Battleworld and essentially still be the characters that they were in Kang Dynasty, but on Battleworld dealing with all the crazy Secret Wars stuff. This is so damn cool and such a good idea, because one of the things that was so wild about the Jonathan Hickman Secret Wars was how different all of the depictions of the Marvel characters were on Battleworld. Like, in the minds of those characters, they've always been on Battleworld. All of their history has existed on Battleworld. They have always lived under God Emperor Doom. And it's fascinating and crazy and cool, and I liked watching the interactions and their motivations of this pre-established world, but without a sort of anchor of characters that come from the old world, there's a really convoluted thing going on with the plot. And this being an Avengers movie, you need a core group of Avengers heroes that are working through all these trials and tribulations to try to overthrow whomever the big bad of Secret Wars ends up being. And as I stated earlier, yeah, you definitely want Spider-Man on that group of Avengers. I'm absolutely sure that there will be new characters, some of the new Avengers, like a She-Hulk, maybe Sam Wilson, Captain America, maybe Shang-Chi, and I don't mind any of those characters, except maybe She-Hulk just a little bit. But I love Spider-Man, and he's such a brilliant character to be in that group, having fought in space before, having fought aliens before, having dealt with crazy magic, and honestly, just being a super cool character that we're all really attached to after those 3 films. And of course, one of the other reasons that this would be so freaking awesome would be the hopeful reconnection with him and Tony Stark. A lot of people believe that Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr., will be back in Secret Wars. I believe that. I think that's something they are working on, and it's going to be absolutely brilliant to see Tom Holland's Spider-Man reunited with Tony Stark, especially now that Tom Holland has sort of gone his own way. He's his own man, making his own suits and becoming the hero that he was always capable of being. And it'll just be a fan favorite moment when Tony can see that, recognize that, and give him the nod of approval. I think that's going to be absolutely incredible. Another thing that's really dope about this is the idea of the symbiote suit, because in the original Secret Wars, Peter Parker finds the symbiote. He finds the black suit and uses it in Secret Wars because they need extra power, and it's really crazy. And of course, we see a piece of the Venom symbiote from Sony's Tom Hardy Venom movies come and stay in the MCU even after Venom and Eddie Brock are jettisoned back into the Sony universe. We also know that the symbiotes exist in all these different universes and have something of a hive mind that's collecting information from across the multiverse. And so there's a chance that Tom Hardy Venom could also pop up, or perhaps Tom Holland with the new symbiote will have access to information from the multiverse and play an important role in deciding how they're going to go about overthrowing the big bad. There's just a lot of awesome possibilities for Secret Wars, and again, I love the idea of Peter Parker being front and center in that group of heroes. But there's also likely means that in Spider-Man 4, we will see the street level on his own character of Tom Holland's Spider-Man be inducted into the Avengers. I mean, especially if you've got Mayor Wilson Fisk, and if he does what he does in the comics and outlaws superheroes in New York City, and Spider-Man leads a group of heroes to overthrow him, expose him, and set order back into New York, then obviously he would be a guy that would be inducted into the Avengers. Perhaps we'll see him actually earn his spot as an actual Avenger in Spider-Man 4, and then be a part of the team in Kang Dynasty, and then again be a part of that same team as they transition into Secret Wars. So it's a hyped up report. I'm excited. I'm hoping more details come out very soon, and we'll cover them here on the channel when they do. And I love the idea of him being in Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, and the speculation on Secret Wars is going to be absolutely incredible. I'm already having a ton of fun trying to figure out what they're going to do in that movie. And as I've been saying, the MCU's brightest days are still ahead of it. Let me know what you think about this report in the comment section below. Like this video if you liked it, and make sure you subscribe to this channel so you have a chance to win the dope nerdy thing we give away each month. This month, we are giving away 2 sets of these awesome Marvel Legends figures, the Iron Man and the Thor. Oh, and we're also giving away a set for a lucky subscriber on our live streaming channel, which has way less subscribers, so you've got a better chance of winning if you go subscribe to that channel. And if you're looking to watch more, why not check out this video I recently did about how I feel Wakanda Forever is going to save the MCU.